they're going to take like 10, 20, 50, 100 performances out of your rotting corpse. Because there's no salvation, no escape from Disney movie magic. And
I'm Karri. You're Henrik. Mm-hmm. Some things never change.
And this is yet again the Flick Lab.
That's how it works.
Despite everybody's thoughts, prayers, and wishes that we would never return, here we are once again back on the airways. Because there is no God and there is no Santa Claus. So all your prayers have been for naught. And this podcast will continue once again.
I just told to my partner that happens to be Catholic, so therefore Christian. I thought that maybe we need a little bit more Christianity here at the apartment, because every time he leaves the apartment, some weird things start to happen here. Seriously, there's always some kind of creatures crawling in here, whether it's like cockroaches all of a sudden, then they never show up when he's here, and ants and other weird predators. Today I opened my trash can, and between the trash can door there was a lizard crushed dead between that door, being eaten by ants.
I would say based on my horror movie knowledge, I would say there are two possibilities for this scenario. A, you are being demonically haunted / being possessed, or B, you are housing an atheist. I don't know which one would be the worst of the two scenarios, but it's either A or B.
No, housing an atheist, that's a given, but I thought that this...
Well, there you have it. That's the source of all your problems. No wonder you have like the 7 biblical plagues going on in your apartment.
I know, and this particular plague or miracle may have been a reference to Alien Romulus, I thought, and the elevator shaft sequence. I don't know, a slight resemblance.
But you were looking at the dead lizard, and you were like, "Get your hands off her, you bitch!"
and then being eaten by facehuggers or ants, whatever. Right, wonderful bridge. Anyway,
I've heard that the ants in Thailand can actually be quite aggressive. Almost liking to a facehugger, like not meaning like the whole choking and planting an egg inside of you thing, but like simply from the aggressiveness of their bite and how aggressive they are by nature.
I'm not gonna try that one. Henrik, today I thought we could try something different, given the nature of...
I hate it already.
Alien Romulus. My idea was that we're just gonna jump straight into quickies. Are you loving it now?
No, absolutely hate it. There's so much to talk about in today's film.
Precisely.
How could we just jump into the quickies?
Well, maybe this will give some kind of unforeseen structure immediately to our episode. I don't know, is this a lost cause, or it's up to you. You can decide now, live, under pressure.
I would say let's not do it, because if we try to discuss like everything in the form of quickies, well once again, like color me a fool, the quickies are like longies, and our quickies last like a half an hour whenever we finally get to them.
Right.
But
that's right.
Still, like it would just like I fear a kind of avalanche reaction where the quickies would balloon even more out of control than they do now, and that's like cruel and inhuman punishment to our listeners.
All right, well, I don't tell me then that I didn't give you the escape pod hatch option in this podcast.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I promise I do keep that in mind.
You want to start with ambition in this movie. Is Alien Romulus an ambitious movie? If not, then what?
It's not, I wouldn't say it's an ambitious movie, but I would say that it is, hands down, the best Alien sequel after Aliens. And here's my reasoning for this statement. Like,
Wow.
as we have covered in this podcast in the past, I'm one of those like handful of crazy people who actually champion for Alien Resurrection. I'm still waiting my train ticket to the death camps for that type of heresy, because like I said, handful of people, and by my knowledge, it's a hand that only has like one finger in it. Four other fingers have been chopped off by Alien Resurrection haters. I'm the only Alien Resurrection simp that I know. And what basically everybody has told me, this being Chris Tuckman, this being any other voice on YouTube community, you, the random homeless person on the streets, my professors at the university, everybody always keeps shouting to me that Alien sequels suck, and the argument always is, why didn't they just, take notes from the first two films that were perfect? Why didn't they look up the first two perfect movies? Why did they have to do this? Why there had to be a hybrid? Why did the Alien hybrid? Why did the director have to be some French dude? Why didn't they just look up to the first two perfect, absolutely monumentally best movies ever made? And here is Alien Romulus. It's a film that actually now perfectly looks up to the first two films. It gazes so far back and so lovingly into the Alien franchise past that it almost becomes a problem for Romulus itself.
Mm-hmm.
It starts to pick up a question like, with Romulus looking this far into the past and this strongly paying homage to the perfect first two films, which I must maintain are perfect in every single way, it basically, Romulus starts to feel the pressure of how can it actually craft its own individual identity as a movie.
I agree with you. It takes so much from the previous movies, like you just said. Yeah, it does, and therefore it has a problem of building its own universe. This is now, something between all of these movies, and it borrows so much material from them that automatically nowadays the trend is to call that fan service. And when you are fan service, then, well, you either like it or you don't, but it's fan service instead of simply what I would even call stealing ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling that Fede Alvarez necessarily means to steal ideas. I think it's like there is this trend of just giving the fan service. I think it is stemming from a solid idea where most of the audience does like this kind of shit. I really, 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 really have seen this so many times that I don't care. I don't need the callbacks. I do need, however, something that Romulus did bring back, which is a certain simplicity. We can discuss that soon.
Yeah. To harken back into your point, like was this Fede Alvarez, or who is behind all fan service? With that question, we also have to carry the question of guilt. Like, who is to blame for all the fan service in Alien Romulus? Whose fault is it?
Studio?
And I do honestly think that it is a detriment to Alien Romulus, or like the million callbacks that the movie has.
Yeah, by the time when it was elevator shaft and get away from her, you bitch. I've had it.
I have had it. Like I was okay with the callbacks somewhere around like the middle point of the film. Like the first half of the movie, I thought that it was enough. For me, it was the CG Ian Holm. Like that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. And when there was the get your hands off her, you bitch line, I was like visibly groaning, and I knew that, or I was sensing that this is going to be a problem for the film, because that the callback in nature of Alien Romulus is something that is already evident in the film's trailers.
Right.
You could sense that we are in rocky waters with this film already, based on the first trailers that you got.
Mm-hmm.
because already those were like almost shot for shot callbacks to Aliens and scenes from Aliens.
Okay, my concern was not that it was reminiscent of those shots. Yeah, definitely when you mention it now, I tend to think about it. But when I was looking at those trailers, my main concern was, is the movie gonna be as ADHD as the trailers are? In most cases, of course, you can't tell anything about the trailers. There is this trailer structure where you have to have these certain high-pitched or bassy noises in all of the films nowadays. That's what they give in Alien Romulus trailers as well. But I held on to hope that it's not gonna be this kind of a non-stop roller coaster with loud noises and explosions and some kind of Nine Inch Nails-y music. No, not exactly, no. No, thank God. It actually builds up to its action, and it has pauses.
Yeah, but to harken back to the whole callback situation, the question of callbacks, like I said, it also harbors the question of like whose fault is it, and that's something where I actually, because this is a question that I have been thinking a lot after I saw Alien Romulus for the first time. Like, where did the callbacks come from? And I'm not actually completely certain that they are Fede Alvarez's handiwork. I'm like, Alien Romulus is and the many callbacks of the movie is one of those fascinating cases where I would almost like hand on my heart and another on a Bible. I would be almost willing to give a testimony that this is the production house decision.
Most likely.
I'm heavily blaming Disney for the get your hands off her, you bitch line, and the sneakers that the main hero have, and well the CG Ian Holmes.
Yeah. It's been part and parcel for so long for these franchise movies now that it doesn't surprise me the least.
No, and it kind of fits the bill, especially with Ian Holm being brought back.
I have to say I didn't have a huge problem with Ian Holm. What I did have a slight problem with was that kind of, that has been mentioned everywhere, the sort of a lackluster CGI in the scene. Then again, we're talking about an android here, so it can look a little bit unnatural, especially if the android has been chopped into pieces. So
I would say no, it can't, because androids have been made better in the previous films. I'm thinking about the Bishop android in Alien 3, where it's like completely fucked up.
Yeah, it is completely fucked up. I even heard noises that some people think that they were criticizing the Alien 3 Bishop, that it was, in comparison, way shittier effects than in Alien Romulus. I don't know how you can actually make that, because it was the actual actor in Alien 3, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but to me, basically, the deep fake nature, and it once again, this is I know that Ian Holm android in Romulus, it's based on a practical effect. Like they had the basis is an animatronic puppet, and then they have kind of added post-production CG on top of it. But I don't know exactly who is to blame here. Is it the FX artists, or is it once again this management / production house? Most likely, knowing how shitty contracts the FX artists get these days, I'm willing to blame Disney once again. But somehow that the added CG on top of the practical puppet makes the combined effect so absolutely shitty that to me it is like unforgivable. In a Disney production house movie theater, you are meant to pay good ticket money for this nonsense movie product. It's kind of like the same thing like with the, for example, the end battle in the first Black Panther movie, where no, the bad CG does not mean that the story or the dialogue somehow loses all ground, but the CG is still so unforgivably bad that you just can't look past it.
Okay, I was a bit pulled out by the CGI, perhaps in the last sequence. Yeah, where we're doing a big hole to the spaceship. Spoilers. And despite like the horrifying nature of that creature, in my opinion, and kind of cool cinematography all over the place, it was too over the top for me, which is of course the trend these days. You can't just simply get to the aliens world that easily. Like, there's always some over the top CGI or effect sequence. You just can't avoid it. Unless you're planning to release your movie on Mubi.
And when it comes to Ian Holm, like, bring him back, I'm actually against that simply on basis of principle these days. I know that in this podcast, previously I have been more okay with resurrecting dead actors through CGI. I'm looking at some of my responses in Halloween Kills on this regard, but during that time I was the visual effect trick was still relatively new to me, so I was more looking into like how it works mechanically, how convincing the effect is to me. But now that it has actually lost the edge of being something new that Hollywood pulls out of its sleeve, I've started to look more closely and for more stronger opinions on the practice of bringing dead actors back or in itself. And I've become like more and more hesitant to actually accept this practice. The kind of like the older I get. Like at this point, like Ian Holm, the dude is dead. He died, 2 years ago? Or was it 5? When did he die?
2020.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah. And now we're at this, the like at the point where even death is no escape. When from the Disney slave pits, when Disney Corporation just decides to have its grubby fingers all over your performance. Like, yeah, you might be that you are physically dead and you haven't been able to, like, since you are dead, you can't even give Disney the permission to use your likeness in their film, but they don't care. They're going to take like 10, 20, 50, 100 performances out of your rotting corpse. Because there's no salvation, no escape from Disney movie magic. And it's kind of like Disney. I know that Disney, as a studio, invested heavily on monetary front in order to create the CGI digital actor effect. So they have a monetary incentive to push it in as many Disney products, and I'm seeing them more as products than movies or TV shows anymore. Into as many Disney products as possible. I kind of can't understand it, but at the same time, like this obsession to just have it CGI Mark Hamill, CGI dead stormtrooper from A New Hope, who you don't even know who the actor is, but you know, we bring everybody back. Everyone who's dead is gonna be brought back somehow. That gleefulness to just repeat this stunt in every single Disney product, it starts to well, at this point it's impossible not to think about it in a way that like it's almost sexual to Disney. Like there's somewhere inside the corporation that there's some producer who is like was having a legit hard on when he thinks goes through like who can we bring back into this movie and that TV show. It's But when you think about the visual image of the guy, it's almost like, the David Fincher-esque serial killer dramas where there's that lone pervert that lives in the basement, is fat, all over greasy, looking at the shitty, CRTV television. There's a porn tape going on it, and it's like, yeah, do it, you dirty whore. You can almost think that, that's basically, you can just take that same basement and just imagine a Disney executive into that basement, just looking at the same shitty CRTV and just thinking about like how they are going to bring a dead Ian Holm to do one more performance for that goddamn Alien movie, and being like, yeah, act, you dirty whore, just act. It's almost like necrophilic at this point.
Yeah, I understand where that feeling is coming from, and I can totally respect that. I think I haven't completely formed a view on this, except that more than you, who I guess is disgusted by the fact that the actor itself has been brought back to life from the dead like a zombie. My problem more here is that it's lazy. It's just lazy, and it's so much fan service that it feels a bit disgusting.
Yeah, and it actually it feels also it feels twice as weird in Alien Romulus, because Alien franchises, the franchise itself is, like we have discussed in previous episodes, it is somewhat of a communist text. It is that the workers who more or less literally have to break their chains to the corporation that owns them and free themselves from Weyland-Yutani's control, just in order to save themselves from, the xenomorph. Like it is like in Bloody, the first film, for example. They have to... Ian Holm is... Ash is an Weyland-Yutani plant android who tries to kill the crew just to protect the xenomorph. They have to destroy the android so that Ripley can have a fighting chance against the xenomorph at the end of the film. It's what Green said, repeat, this is baked into this franchise's DNA. Corporation bad, corporation immoral, that the workers have to fight against the corporation as much as against the xenomorph itself. And Alien Romulus, like, it has this plot point where our main character has, she has this mandatory work service to Weyland-Yutani. It's something like, 35 years of hard labor, and then she would be free, and she goes into the Weyland-Yutani offices, like, I would like to have a permission to leave this hellhole shit planet and to travel to another system. I've done my mandatory workforce, like, service. Yeah. I've earned my freedom, and the Weyland-Yutani executive is like, oh, I just checked out your records. You have 125 years more of mandatory work service. You're going to die on this planet. There's that scene in Alien Romulus. And then behind the scenes, you have the scene of Disney being like, oh, Ian Holm is dead. Well, we just checked this record. He has still 255 years of solid acting to do. And like, didn't you fuckers actually realize what it is that you are doing and what it is that you are saying? You are making a movie that says thing A bad, and then behind the scenes, you are doing thing A. Like, how can you be this stupid and blind?
It's not really the first time, I guess, when this happens. But what is really strong in this movie is that the reference to the same themes that we've had before. Like you said, this is some kind of a liberal, left-leaning plotline where we're trying to get out of this rat race together as a team. That's the whole plot. To get out of this misery into something greater, blah, blah, blah. Or you could see that the lady who is telling about the service years, that she represents some kind of lady from a communist country telling that you still have, like, your mandatory service for the country, this much and this much. Of course, two sort of opposing ideas, not always, traveling hand in hand. Draw what you will. I got a strong taste of continuing business as usual, like Ripley versus the company from before.
Yeah. I got the same feeling. And
Yeah.
that kind of is like, we have discussed also this topic point before, but that is kind of baked into the franchise's DNA. Like, Weyland-Yutani, the corporation, has been the behind-the-scenes bad guy of this franchise so many times that it actually would be a legit plot twist on an Alien film if there would be a Weyland-Yutani executive or operative who would actually really just honestly care about the well-being of his workers and wouldn't be a complete shitbag. And actually, once the xenomorph shows up, would be like, yeah, actually, let's just toss the bloody lizard out of the airlock. I don't want to touch that thing. That would be a legit plot twist, because Weyland-Yutani has been the official behind-the-scenes bad guy in the first film, the second film, in the third film. Wasn't in Resurrection because Weyland-Yutani had gone bankrupt, which perhaps was too new plot point for this franchise, and everybody absolutely hated it and said that there's no redeeming qualities whatsoever in Alien Resurrection. Weyland-Yutani was bad guy in Prometheus, and there Weyland-Yutani and Peter Weyland had to really work in order to be like, had to put a legit effort in order to be the bad guy, because he kind of had to shoehorn his bad guyness into the scenario of Prometheus. He had to be in cryosleep for almost the entire film just so that there would be some type of a like insidious twist when they reveal that no, he's on board. And through his stupid ass, dumb ass android, Weyland-Yutani is kinda the bad guy also in Alien Covenant.
Talking more a little bit about the plot, moving a little bit more into it. Yeah, I felt that was something new in this movie. Weyland Corporation is not only evil, this has the little side plot thingy going on, that they took the aliens for research purposes, at least for one certain purpose. They were able to develop a vaccine that would slow the human metabolism, which would be nice, of course.
No, it wouldn't.
Why?
Because once again, Weyland-Yutani, and this is like where the commie roots of Alien franchise really comes to show. Even when Weyland-Yutani was creating a vaccine in order to slow humans' metabolism so that human beings could actually physically, bodily sustain their existence in the galaxy, because the problem there is that we humans, we were not built for interstellar travel and were living on another planets. Our bodies can't take it, so they break down fast. Weyland-Yutani tries to develop a vaccine to combat this. It sounds like a good idea, except then you notice that the reason why Weyland-Yutani cares about this is not for the betterment of humanity, but simply to have humans be able to work even more years in their miserable slave pits in some fucking mining planet. They don't care about Mike the Miner. They just want to create the vaccine so that Mike the Miner can keep on mining for 20 more years, because everybody's bodies currently are breaking down, and it actually costs Weyland-Yutani money to ship new miners to their stupid-ass mining planet. So even in we are creating this vaccine to better humanity, even then it's like Weyland-Yutani just can't help but be the most insidious, most greedy-ass motherfuckers in the galaxy.
And
Christ.
This is so underexplored and underutilized, this whole making this morally more complex than what it is. Like now it's like the pure evil Satan corporation versus all the nice little workers who are just doing their job. You could have just pushed it so much further that, hey, here's a company with modest ideas, like good ideas for the sake of humanity. Meanwhile, the sacrifice that you have to make as a ship operative is to take these motherfuckers on board at the risk of everyone dying. But if you do succeed on your mission, then it would make the whole humanity better off on the long run. So that would be that would also kind of reflect on the whole android morality that is being discussed in this movie. Would have been tying the room together nicely.
It could have been a somewhat interesting route for the film to take, but like mentioned, that just wouldn't then be Alien film, because Alien films are so bloody red that they can't see Weyland-Yutani as anything more less than the ultimate embodiment of all evil and suffering in the world. I honestly can't understand how on earth Americans are watching and enjoying and championing this communist trash. You would think that I understand that in Finland this flies by. I understand that like a liberal, like to me, it's okay. Yeah, big corporation is the ultimate evil, but the Americans are like, what the fuck, Yanks? Once again, like yeah, rather dead than red. I hear you guys, but you pay money to then see Alien films. It's the same thing. I can't understand why they enjoy so much those goddamn Dune movies, like the sci-fi series where the plot literally is that a militaristically more advanced race, nationality comes into a sand people's home turf in order to mine precious materials, aka spice, and steal it for them. And then there's armed conflict, and the militaristically more superior side actually loses it. Post-Iraq war, like how in the fuck, guys? American listeners, please, in the comment section, explain to me exactly what are the mental gymnastics here.
Well, the mental gymnastics are that it's always the communists and the left lunatics who are writing these movies. And then happily the corporations, whatever their political leanings, they happily take it, as long as money is involved.
Well, but shouldn't you then not enjoy these movies, not pay to see them, and in fact just bankrupt the Hollywood machine, if that's the thing? Like, how in the fuck? I have to be wary of not getting crucified for, championing alien resurrection. But everybody else tells me about the grandiose of the first two Alien films, which also have the same fucking subtext, which is that the Weyland-Yutani is like the evil embodiment of everything that is bad and cruel in the universe. Like, shouldn't these tables be like the other way around then? Shouldn't me, the liberal Finn, be like, no, Alien Resurrection sucks ass completely, oh my god, and Americans would be like, no, Alien Resurrection is best movie ever because it's so against nothing like, the previous three commie films that we got.
I would even say that in many cases the writers, and especially the studios, are not thinking about the possible subtext. It just happens to come up every time because everybody is copying the ethos of the first or the second movie, and it just comes up in the script structure. But these are really, in the end, I would say that these movies are dumber than we give them credit to.
But then again, they wouldn't even have to realize this on their own, because this is a subtext, and it's not really even that much subtext. It's the actual text of these films, but it's the text that has already been exposed for decades now. There's even this film podcast run by two Finns called the Flick Lab, which has actually exposed this extremely obvious text of the Alien franchise.
Never heard of it.
At this point, it's like it takes more effort not to see this and not to realize and not to hear what is the text of the Alien films than to somehow expose yourself to hearing that text. So it's like that they have to like go backwards already just to like accidentally write the communist text into Alien movies.
The US and their fascination with the Alien franchise is proof for you, Henrik, that the casual watcher of Aliens movies, they don't care. They don't recognize, they don't register the subtext or the text.
I'm trying to say that the American audience watching Alien movies is too dumb for the Alien movies.
Well,
because I'm not necessarily saying that that's a wrong or bad opinion to have. I'm just asking if that's the opinion you have.
I'm just saying, I'm really just saying that the casual watcher that goes to the theater doesn't care about the subtext or text, but people who have watched thousands of movies and run a podcast in Finland about movies, then those people, it's their job to care about these things, for better or worse.
Well, that kind of makes you perhaps even a worse person. Because then you know like what the text is, and you go there and you're like, yeah, I don't care. Let the text just flow over me. Like if you would take that mentality and like apply it to anything else. Like once again, episodes past we watched The Birth of a Nation. Yeah, had an extremely obvious racist text. And if we would take that. Like an example, like you go into the theaters and it's like extremely obviously racist, and even a Finnish film podcast has told you that it's racist, and then you sit down there and you watch the film, you're like, I don't care about what the text of this movie is. It's kind of even more worse than you just being too dumb for the obvious text of the movie. And even with that, like I would have to once again ask, Please, if any Disney executives are listening to today's episode, please tell us in the comment section, how in the fuck did all this extremely obvious text, which absolutely everyone, our podcast included, has already told you exist in this franchise, once again so completely fly past all of your heads when you made the behind-the-scenes decisions for Alien Romulus? Like, how are we having this same fucking discussion once again in this franchise?
Drop us a line and educate us.
I'm not complaining, it's a really nice discussion to have. I just kinda can't, like, understand the complete buffoonery that I'm witnessing here. Especially from the production end.
Speaking of production, possibly buffoonery, the world of Alien Romulus. The world. We a little bit discussed it already, but the kind of the mood and the atmosphere of Alien Romulus. What's happening here? Well, it builds slower. It makes everything simpler. It has pretty well established mise-en-scène that where we stay for a while, and I think it moves pretty nicely from one set piece to the next set piece. There is no rushing. There is no jumping all over the place. There's not even really two different scenarios or places or people that we have to follow at the same time, cutting back and forth between these things, not the kind of the Two Towers nightmare situation. No, this is a pretty simple and easy to follow horror movie. And I say horror movie because I think this is more of a horror movie perhaps than any of the Alien movies so far, which I would more describe as thriller in nature. Maybe it's just that I feel that the aliens in general, while not exactly super rich on the plot devices, I would say that it still rides more on the story than just the bad guys. And Alien Romulus may not be doing that exactly. It's some kind of a balancing act, yeah. There are obvious jump scare scenes, not so much something that we have seen before. Obvious jump scare scenes that are kind of reminiscent of the haunted horror house things that the director has dabbled in before. Evil Dead remake from 2013. Don't Breathe, perhaps. Texas Chainsaw Massacre to some extent, to which he was a story writer too. What's your thoughts? What's the feeling?
I actually don't think that this is so separate or so distant from the previous films. To me, alien films have always been horror movies. Even Aliens, even though that is the one where the horror is basically where it's still.
This is an interesting thing. Would you take Aliens to a Halloween party?
I would.
Okay.
I would, if necessary. Yeah. I mean, it is the most actiony. It is the least like a haunted house. In my opinion, like the first one is very much a haunted house ride.
Okay.
Much like Alien Romulus. Starts off extremely slowly, and then as it progresses after the first half of Alien is really slow, and then it starts to ramp up, and there is like more and more jump scares. All of these films have jump scares in them. Romulus maybe has the most, but no Alien movie is stranger to jump scares. Alien 3...
I would, just jump scare just here. I would say that, like you said, the first one is like a haunted house setting. But what I'm more emphasizing is that I think this is more of a proper horror movie, like the jump scares. But carry on.
I don't know. Like in my opinion, they are. I would say the first one is like a proper horror movie. I also think that in a way, Resurrection is more of a horror comedy because it's so much of a satire of the Alien franchise itself. But when it aims for horror, it aims pretty hard. Once again, it's not the most obvious example because it's so much satire and because there is the French cinematography and directing principles that are at play there. But in my opinion, Resurrection has a relatively strong horror movie genome in it. I do think that Alien 3 is a murky situation, but due to the fact that, well, that the first half is more intense than the second one when they are running away from the monster, and the first half is more aching to David Fincher's serial killer thriller movies where they are solving the case. But I would say that Alien 3 also manages to have... Well, I can't say that its both legs are in the horror genre, but I would say that the right leg is on horror and the left leg is on thriller. Aliens is kind of the same thing except with action movie now tied into it. It's kind of like the Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator situation of the Alien franchise. It starts off with a horror movie element and horror movie DNA, then it turns into a strong action movie sense when the Marines first hit the Haley's Hope, and they are all confident as all fuck that they can just deal with the situation. And once, just like in Schwarzenegger's Predator, once the enemy shows its capabilities, it becomes clear to our heroes that they are the underdogs in this situation despite their military might. Then once again it turns into a frantic run and fight for survival. So in that sense, yeah, I would say that even though like Aliens is not a haunted house like Alien and Alien Romulus, but I would still say that, you know, it's perfectly good Halloween party movie material. The ones where I'm most hesitant would be I would say Prometheus, and perhaps Covenant, and even they are not completely like distant from being horror movies. Alien Prometheus is kind of a, once again, it's Ridley Scott kind of doing the haunted house thing. And then, I don't know what Covenant is for the first 2/3 of the film, but then the last third aims to be like xenomorph on a ship. Oh, it's haunted house once again, kind of thing. Doesn't completely land, but I can see that that's still what it was aiming at.
And the brutality in this movie is on, well, I think on a new level. Of course, at the time when you were looking at the previous movies, they were already on definitely on a high intensity level, and people would reportedly leave theaters feeling sick, etc., etc. So, well, today audiences have kind of experienced everything that you can experience in a normal theater environment, the kind of movies that they allow us to see there. But yeah, the intensity was a little ramped up.
I thought so too. Not necessarily in the realm of blood and gore. Alien Romulus does have blood and gore in it. It's not bloodless film.
And it was a PG-13 movie anyway, was it?
I guess it was. But it hides its PG-13 pretty well, in my opinion. Like, it's not super obvious that, we are shying away from physical violence in here. It's not like we are talking about, if we would be talking about Fede Alvarez. Evil Dead remake. Now that's obvious R-rated blood and guts horror film.
Yeah.
Alien Romulus obviously is not that. But Alien Romulus, in my opinion, it manages to hide its PG-13 nature to a point where it can kind of be like perhaps halfway, or you can imagine it's kind of in a halfway of it. It's kind of in the don't breathe category when it comes to gruesomeness. It's kind of like, and once again, I'm under no illusion. It's mostly placebo effect in the audience. It's kind of like the Alfred Hitchcock Psycho situation where through clever editing and directing, the shower stab scene, everybody were like willing to swear on or in front of the god that it had more violence and more stab blood and guts than what the scene actually had. Everybody was just imagined that it was more violent scene than what it was. And Alien Romulus kind of does the same, is playing with the same placebo here. But in my opinion, it plays a relatively solid game with that placebo effect. And overall, I would say that Alien Romulus is more aggressive than perhaps any other previous film in this franchise. Not in the visuals, like what they show to you, but more in the nature. Like there is the first, there's that scene where who is the pilot lady? Was it Kay, or what was her name?
Kay.
Yeah, most likely, yeah, was Kay or something like that. Anyways, the cruise pilot lady. That's just the moment when she gets face hugged by a face hugger. And once again, it's not a gory scene. It's the same face hugging scene that you've seen previously in every single Alien film in the past. But there is something in the execution. The way how she runs away, how the face huggers come as a swarm, extremely aggressive, how the face hugger leaps through the air, how the camera pans from the face hugger to the pilot lady as the face hugger lands, how she immediately falls back with the face hugger on her face. It's not bloody, but it feels aggressive, and through that more aggressive cinematic language, the act kind of feels more violent. It's not, but it feels.
And maybe you're talking about Aileen Wu playing Navarro. She gets the facehugger in the face next to the corpse of an android. Can be like I said, the pilot lady. Yeah.
Now that's the whole X-ray thing on her chest.
Yeah. Okay. Navarro.
And also like that chest burster scene that we have. Once again, the X-ray thing doesn't actually show you any violence. There is blood, but it's not shown to you that the chest person with all the blood and gore, and the blood only comes after the X-ray machine ray thingy moment in that scene. But once again, that X-ray. I'm going to look at my chest to see what's happening. Oh my god, I'm X-raying. The chest burster is like just about to break through. Once again, no blood, no gore, but those frames, those individual shots, they feel extremely aggressive and violent, even though no violence is on the screen at the moment.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with the character stupidity once again in this scene. Like, you are already running away from the face huggers. You think you have succeeded in your mission in avoiding them, and then you stop, you turn back, and then you get face hugged. Come on, that's how it always begins.
Well, again. In her defense, in this same bloody franchise, not once, but twice. Oh, I'm in some type of a derelict environment. There are huge, ugly-looking alien eggs in front of my. One is opening. I look into the egg.
Yeah, look at that cutesy thing. Oh, so cute.
It's like yeah. You running away and you stopping and turning back to look behind you. Yeah, it's stupid, but it's not as stupid.
Yeah,
we've had this franchise. It's no stranger to dumbasses. God bless them all, but it's not stranger to dumbasses.
And the dumbfuckery award of the whole Alien franchise goes to the doctor guy in Prometheus, playing with the cutesy little whatever alien flower vagina thing, whatever snake.
I would say that they're really just not in alien communities even. Like, come on, the android was obviously evil. You knew it already. You knew that the android is evil, and the android is like, look into the egg, and you go,
yeah,
dumb,
like it.
Dumb bastard.
And what it was the captain, no less.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's about the world. But
I actually did like to harken back to the word just one more time. I actually did like quite a lot like what we got from the world of Alien Romulus. We didn't get much, and I wish that we would have stayed on the Weyland-Yutani hell mining planet.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
That colony stuff would have been something really nice to see. I was kind of disappointed when we got into once again another space station floating somewhere in the orbit. But I did really like those few glimpses, the short snippets that we get to see the world of Alien Romulus. I do think that there was a lot of unused potential there.
Oh yeah. I get some kind of a Blade Runner vibe from that world for some reason.
Yeah, it was really run down. It was constantly raining. There were ugly as neon lights everywhere. It was dark as hell. I got the same feeling.
Ah, could have spent there more than whatever it was, like 15 minutes tops. But yeah.
The space station wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I also liked the space station. But oh my god, that the colony looked so much more interesting still.
Yeah, and the fact that we've been whining, at least I've been bitching in the Alien episode, whatever this thing is. I have been whining about the fact that we always go to the same derelict locations and these ugly ass space stations. Why can't we have this fight off somewhere else? Does it always have to be closed space, somewhere where nobody can hear your scream or nobody can simply hear you, as the tagline sort of goes here? It doesn't have to be Earth. It doesn't have to even necessarily be a like planet. I guess it could be like another planet. But why does it have to be the ugly ass space station? What about the fucking nice, cool, futuristic, clean, modern design? Let's let's have a Beethoven room there, and let's have fancy drinks from beautiful glasses, and have all these rich cocksuckers who contributed to the building of this space station. Something with some kind of a gravity shit going on, like in the Halo games, like a ring structure.
Yeah.
Something like that. How about that?
Yeah, that would be something like if you would have like a all white cocktail lounge.
Yeah.
And everybody would be like white dresses and white suits. Everybody would be like their fancy sipping drinks, and then you would have like a whole bunch of xenomorphs just bursting in there. You would have like the classic blood flowing against white surface and absolute mayhem. I'm really surprised that this franchise actually hasn't done it. I kind of understand why that is, because the visual aesthetics of the franchise are never changing, and it was closed off, shitty. It sticks together only through the magic of duct tape spaceship in the first Alien film, and it has kind of more or less been that in the visual language of this of every single film on this franchise. But just like you, I kind of wish that there would be a new location.
Yeah.
Like, I would want to see that all-white Beethoven cocktail bar room.
Yeah.
And then have, like, an excessive amount of violence happening in that location.
And you could still have the derelict shit, maybe on the same ship. And, you know, you have the class difference. And it would go perfectly with the alien lore, right?
Yeah, it could be like a Snowpiercer situation where you would have, like, different departments.
Like a Titanic in space.
You would have the rich people's place, and that would be really clean and nice. And then you would have the workers' place, and that would be like the derelict hellhole.
Yeah, there you go. Were you bothered, by the way, by the sort of catch-22 here? Because we are in a situation where we have been building up to the aliens again and again and again. So we already know the villains, we are familiar with their ways. In some ways the franchise always tries to renew the villains, that there's something, I haven't seen this kind of creature before. It's kind of the samey, but not exactly. So some new features and upgrades have been added whenever it's coming from busting out of a dog or a ox or whatever the case. But so we're in a catch-22 wherein it has to build up to the villains, or it feels obligated to build up to the villains, so much so that we wait for 30 minutes to get to the point, or the attack, wait for the facehugger to get the show on the road. And I'm feeling kind of like, even though I didn't feel like this is stretching it perhaps too long, but also when we get stuck into that room, we're there for a couple of minutes and we already see the facehuggers, and I'm already like, get on with it, don't build it up anymore, just let it go now.
I have been kind of bothered by that for quite some time, but it's not like a massive disappointment for me, because it's kind of like one of those things that you just have to swallow with Alien franchise. I do remember that I was griping about this whole thing when we did Alien 3, where I was like the first half of the movie, first 30 to 45 minutes is just Alien Ripley trying to figure out if there is an alien in this movie that is called Alien 3. So of course there is going to be an alien. Come on. Check out the script that you are reading, lady. But once again, like it didn't ruin the film for me there. It's something that I did notice, but that I still managed to swallow. And it's the same thing with in here in Alien Romulus. It's also the same thing with like Weyland-Yutani every single time being like the absolute worst corporation in the universe trope that this franchise does. Like I already said, it would be a new plot twist for this franchise to actually just once showcase a Weyland-Yutani representative who wouldn't be an absolute horrible shitbag, but they always are horrible shitbags because Weyland-Yutani is like the worst corporation in the universe. You can't, like you said, it's catch-22 situation. I notice it every time, and every time I'm like, oh my god, it would have been actually a plot twist if you would have taken a different route this one time, please franchise. But every single time I manage to swallow it down. It's one of those things that you just have to swallow a lot in this franchise.
Yeah, that's true. Let's not try to choke on it while we do it.
Like the tropes and the blueprint of Alien movies and Alien franchise, it's kind of like the facehuggers in these films. You try to run away from it as you go into the movie theater. Try to be like, oh no, why don't they done? They're not going to be the absolute shitbags this time. No, the movie is going to do something more clever. You try to run away from the reality, but every single time, those tropes just catch you, and you just have to swallow every single one of them.
Yeah. Speaking of swallowing, how did it go down into your stomach with your cocktails? The characters themselves. Let's talk about characters. Are they worthy of Ellen Ripley or whatever we have in the Alien franchise, the whole colonial marines? Are they on par? I felt that no. Answer is no. Unfortunately, it's weird, but in most modern movies that you see in the theaters, mainstream movies like this, even though they kind of try sometimes, like here they at least give some background to the characters, or at least they kind of try to. For example, in the case of Alien Romulus, there is dropped some information that, oh, I'm pregnant now, but nothing else really beyond that. Okay, the lady's pregnant, congratulations. So it doesn't really go too far from that. Something about maybe facial expressions or lack of cinematic expressions is just lacking compared to something like Sigourney Weaver, who is, in her own league in a way. But it just doesn't do the same impression. It's hard to put your finger on why, but it doesn't.
I thought that the characters were fine enough in this film.
At least they are not annoying.
Yeah. Rain, who is being played by Katie Spaney. Rain is now Ellen Ripley. When we just are brutally honest here. So again, that is also somewhat unfair comparison, because Ellen Ripley, she no longer, especially for us since we are doing the whole Alien franchise here, she no longer can be just Ellen Ripley from Alien. She is forever and ever Ellen Ripley, the lead star of 4 of these movies. So obviously there is so much more that character has been able to do, and that she can kind of bring back into herself from the previous films. Like in Alien Resurrection, she's kind of a blank slate as a character, but at the same time for the audiences, it's more or less the same character who just watched Newt being autopsied in Alien 3. So obviously a new character can't be exactly in the same league. When it comes to Archie Renault, who plays the Tyler, the kind of Aliens Hicks relevancy here, Tyler is no Hicks. It's not so much Tyler being bad character or Archie Renault being bad actor, but it's more like Michael Biehn just having such of an enormous amount of charisma. I would say that, in my opinion, Hicks is only half as good as a character, as a thing that exists on a page in form of text. That carries the whole thing to a halfway point. And the other half is just Michael Biehn's performance and charisma, which kind of and together they combine Hicks in Aliens, which is one of the strongest characters that this franchise has. David Johnson, who plays Andy, in my opinion, is the best actor of this bunch and actually does really stellar work here. I would say the best character also, largely because he essentially plays 2 characters here. He is almost autistic like Andy, and then once he gets the program upgrade, he becomes the shrewd, cold, calculating Weyland-Yutani drone thing that still somehow manages to convey that there's some feelings that he still would have towards Rain as a protective countermeasure. So I would say David Johnson acting his ass out here. Absolutely. I think Johnson's performance is something that, in my opinion, if there's something that carries this movie on its shoulders, It's Johnson. The rest of the cast and crew didn't hate any of them, but also I think they were all okay. They were good enough for this film, but there wasn't like a standout performance nor a standout character in the rest of the cast.
Yeah. Yeah, I think something that is lacking in Romulus is, I can't say that it was perfectly there in the originals either, but something that I feel about Alien Romulus is that it doesn't have different age groups in the cast of characters. Yeah, you have the zombie Ian Holm digital replica thingy, but the lead actors, they are, the supporting cast of characters, they are pretty young actresses, and perhaps that changes something. Like, it's not a new thing, but at least in Aliens, you have like the captains, and you have the bishop. Alien Resurrection, even, you have like different age groups, definitely. So I think that also brings some kind of experience, maybe into the acting, or some versatility, and makes Alien Romulus, on the other hand, feel a little bit more like a teenage horror romp in the cast sense.
Then again, when it comes to the characters of Romulus, the running theme here is that they are all orphans. I can't vouch for every single one of them, but the running theme when it comes to these characters' backstories is that their parents have died on the mining planet due to the work conditions and due to the fact that, the human body can't sustain itself in those conditions, and also because the mine itself where they have to work is a miserable shithole where you get lung disease.
Sure, the movie has an excuse for having young actors here, but...
Yeah, and in that sense, I do kind of think that it actually works for the benefit of the film. Like, in here we do... Yeah, it means that they have to all be more or less from the same age group, and there is not that much age variation between the characters. But at the same time, what it does also grant is the running theme of bunch of orphans.
I think more could have been played with the characters' personas somehow, like their individual motivations. That try to take the wheel off a little bit further on that.
I don't know.
There is some established chemistry, but they don't have too much time beyond like, hey, I'm pregnant kind of thing.
On the other hand, I actually quite enjoyed that fact, and that's like when we opened this episode, the question was like, how can Alien Romulus find itself an individual identity after being the 7th movie in this bloody franchise? And I do think that that's kind of one of the venues how in the end it manages to get itself the answer or identity. Alien Romulus is the Alien film that does not take the character backstory turns that you constantly expect it to take. Like, when it comes to fleshing out these characters, yeah, you can throw in the counter argument that as a result of that, these characters are not fleshed out as much as the characters in other movies, or they don't feel that fleshed out. But at the same time, that actually is a new venue for this movie, for a movie in this franchise. Because there, like you mentioned, there is the pregnancy. And in its kind of visual language, I took that the film was hinting towards the possibility that Bjorn would be the father of the kid. But like, Bjorn has a heavy emphasis on making sure that Kay survives from the space station. And there is some lone, pat on the shoulder and like small things that don't actually prove anything. But to a trained, I've seen how these plot structures are built eye of a cynical film critic, that is something that you take as being now being kind of built up and being telegraphed as, that's going to lead into the plot twist that Bjorn is the father. Well, that never actually pans out. He apparently is not, and we never actually know who Kay's child's father was. And there's another example of this would be towards the end of the film when they reach the Romulus lab and Andy starts to hand out the rifles, and Tyler is like, "Oh, it's the Marine Corps standard issue plasma rifle. This is how it works." And Rain is like, "How do you know all this weapon shit?" And Tyler is like, "Oh, but I've just read a whole bunch of magazines." And of course, once again, in your trained movie critic perspective, you are like, "Oh, this is now the movie is telegraphing that there is going to be a twist." Tyler he has a secret Marine Corps background, or it turns out that Tyler is another Weyland-Yutani plant in this group. And nothing actually comes out of that either. Apparently Tyler just, picked up from a bunch of magazines. And that was semi-refreshing. Of course, it may also feel like it's not fleshing out the characters enough, and it may feel frustrating, but I was actually positively surprised by the fact that when I was certain that this movie will take plot twist route A, B, and C, and D, the movie actually took none of those. And that's perhaps the first time in this franchise when the obvious plot twist is not going to be a plot twist.
Yeah, all right. Fair game. I felt that this could have pushed the characters, fleshed it out a little bit further. It's a problem that is still plaguing Hollywood. But I guess we can talk about a little bit further about our likings, dislikes, a little bit of not rapid fire in any way. Quickies?
Okay, by all means.
Okay, well, if you insist. So...
Oh, I'm not insisting, no. But on the contrary, if you so want, let's not go quickies in yet. How did you feel about the overall plot of Alien Romulus? Were you enjoyed when Ridley Scott's weird engineers and black goo shit was once again brought into the forefront?
That's actually something I could have explored. I was about to go there, but hold my black goo.
Well, if you insist that you are granted the possibility to approach that question in the quickies, of course I can cater to your wishes and we can, go to the quickies.
No, it's not possible in any way.
I'm offering you the escape pod here, my good friend.
I'll take it, bruh. So this movie is so all over the place. Like I already said, that it's borrowing so many elements from the previous installments. And then it also introduces the black goo back. And it's some kind of a different black goo from the previous movies. Like a Prometheus Covenant.
I actually didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone does.
Because black goo is not explained in the previous films, but...
Yeah.
It like black goo that does whole bunch of shit in the previous films apparently does whole bunch of shit in this film.
Apparently, and no one still knows what the hell it is.
Well,
I guess we'll find out in a sequel.
I guess, and this is my hypothesis at this point after seeing Alien Romulus. Black goo is a secret bioengineering tool to create British people. Because that pure-looking weird alien baby thing, or the weird alien baby thing here at the end of Romulus, it looked somewhat like Bjorn, and Bjorn, as established, is a British, has accent and all shit, talks about water throughout the film. Water.
Apparently,
couldn't understand. I don't understand why everybody loves British accent, but there you have Bjorn is full of British accent and everything's water, mate. So the weird alien final boss actually had quite a lot of, in my opinion, facial similarities to Bjorn. So I'm taking that the black goo is a bioengineering way to create British people. So now we have actually answered that age-old question, where do the Brits come from?
No, sorry, you can't do that. It's the same thing as Prometheus. You can't read it as a continuation or a sequel to the Bible. It's just all in your head, Henrik. So same thing here. You've just made it up. It's your theory, but you hold on to it.
Just so, if Tom Franklin, hello Tom, from all those past Bond episodes, still listening to this nonsense, please let us know in the comments. Is this weird alien black goo shit the way how Brits are made of?
I'm just having weird flashbacks from the Living Daylights episode that we did, and something about the monkeys not leaving Gibraltar until the Brits do. I don't know, you could build something out of that and the black goo. Okay.
Well, it was a monkey-like Brit that was the end result of the black goo in Alien Romulus.
Well, okay.
Perhaps there is something. Is Fede Alvarez trying to hint some deep truths here?
Well, Henrik, what did you think about the monster of the movie, the alien baby creature? We've already had that in Alien Resurrection. We've had the Prometheus creature in Prometheus. And this is some kind of a creature that looks like the Prometheus creature, the creator, without being it.
It was...
And not looking like the Alien Resurrection creature, but it's some sort of a reference to Resurrection as well, ain't it?
Yeah. I don't know about Resurrection, but most definitely to Prometheus. Perhaps that's like I know like Ridley Scott was one of the producers of this film. Like this is Scott Free is Scott's production house, and Scott Free is a production house in Alien Romulus. Perhaps that was like Ridley Scott's ultimatum to Fede Alvarez. You can't have the money to make an alien film, he says, holding a Luger on against Fede Alvarez's forehead, unless you bring back the engineers and that black goo. And Fede Alvarez is there like, you promised me, you promised to give me 50 million if I do that. Perhaps that was what was going on behind the scenes behind the scenes negotiations of Alien Romulus.
Most likely, and we haven't really discussed about how people are so over the moon about this movie. This is the best Alien film since the original and the second one, and in your opinion, it is apparently.
It is. It most definitely is the best because it looks so far into the past. It those perfect two movies.
Yeah.
But I thought that the British person at the end of a film, it was like okay. It was a bit lackluster. Like it was a British person that had lungs on its back or something, and it was really long. It was like a 3 feet long British person.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, okay.
It's a tall guy with a really tall face as well, and it looks something like Voldemort in the movie. That's okay.
But Voldemort is also a Brit, so that they are all British wizards in fucking Harry Potter. So British person it is. But I think the theory is confirmed. But
it was chilling.
Didn't like it as much as I liked the alien hybrid in Resurrection.
You're still going for the camera eye guy from Resurrection.
And I do think that the weird C-section tentacle baby alien in Prometheus also was more exciting than the British person in Romulus, but it was okay, it was fine, I didn't hate it. It kind of existed and not Ellen Ripley threw it out of the airlock after getting into a space overalls like Ellen Ripley did in Alien, so...
Baggy ass overalls. Coming back to why you're probably right with your theory that there must be black goo, said by Ridley Scott, mandated by Ridley Scott. Or if not mandated, I will understand why Ridley Scott and James Cameron are so hyped about this film. Well, first of all, this is like a Scott-free production house movie. But other than that, these two guys, there's the most amount of references to Alien and Aliens. A lot to Aliens. So I can perfectly see why James Cameron is so hyped about all the Space Marines Division guns being back there, or or the slogans of the Wayland Company, or all these aesthetics. I think that's what's speaking to them. Their ego is rubbed like, give me some more Fede.
Mm-hmm. They're in the same basement with the Disney executive. All looking at Disney executive is watching dead Ian Holm being like, you better act, you dirty bitch, and Ridley Scott and James Cameron are watching another CRTV and is looking at all the Fede Alvarez callbacks and being like, you better do that, you dirty bitch, put in more callbacks.
Yeah, they're all in on it.
That's how I imagine that the production meetings in Alien Romulus really went.
Callback mafia.
Callback mafia. Fede Alvarez is in the basement. He's in some type of cage there. He's just like, just let me do an alien film. I promise more callbacks. If anyone at Disney is listening to this episode, please let us know in the comment section if this is how production meetings based around Alien Romulus really went.
It's surprisingly sexual.
Well, these have been this has always been surprisingly sexual franchise. So I'm not really that off from the mark with my imagination of how this film was conceived.
Yeah. Oh boy. It kind of harkens back to the Aliens scene. One of my favorite scenes in the whole franchise, where Ellen Ripley goes all like, have the IQs been dropping here while I was away? And all that. That could be a bit like a Fede Alvarez and being just powerless there next to the powers that be. Alright. Quickies. The performance and its pedestal.
Well, I kind of already really gave this one away, but yeah, David Johnson.
Yeah, David Johnson.
Is better android than that Ian Holm, and they specifically brought Ian Holm back from the dead to play an android. So perhaps you could have used that money somehow else. Who knows?
Why not bring back Yaphet Kotto? Like, that would have been interesting. Absolutely no reason for that. Then make some half-ass excuse that, it was actually part of an Android lineup.
At this point, and I still suspect that, that a million callbacks in this film were mandated by Disney. But I really, I can't understand whom these callbacks and all this nostalgia baiting actually is aimed at.
I'm still wondering. Yeah.
Who were they banking on, creaming on their pants when Ian Holm is brought back as a different android, or when they drop there to get your hands off her, you bitch line in the elevator scene, like the people who have nostalgia for the first film, who saw it in theaters, are now what, 50, 60-year-olds?
Right.
Shouldn't we be like they are kind of like exiting film audiences? You would think that what Disney would wanna reel in would be like 20 to 30-year-olds,
right? But
they don't have the nostalgic connection to get your hands off her, you bitch, or Ian Holm being an android.
Yeah, it's strange masturbation. Why not then just bring back the old movies in some kind of a re-release instead?
Well, they also did that, and also that was a horrible mistake, but I've heard about the latest AI upscaled.
Oh my shocking god. Like, James Cameron, if you're hearing this, like, what the hell are you? You're starting a Twitter war because people are correctly, mind you, like, criticizing your AI upscales. And you just keep mentioning that, I'm doing this with the utmost professionals on the job, and I will take no criticism whatsoever on this shit. Like, actually, Aliens is a we can go into the weeds and shit, but Aliens was maybe one of the better examples of this AIing of the image. But again, it's so unnecessary, and what most people want is the film grain from the originals. Like if you're gonna bring all the detail, then just leave the grain in. That's also detail, by the way. Like it's grain detail, not image detail. It's grain detail, and we appreciate it as film nerds.
We are kind of like I remember in some of the early episodes when we did Apocalypse Now, we kind of poked fun of Francis Ford Coppola for his obsessive need to re-release the movie in a new cut.
Yeah.
Every 5 to 10 years, but here we are, like Ridley, James Cameron, and everybody else is kind of doing the exact same stuff, except now it's not even a new cut. It's just like new AI and some CGI. This is getting into George Lucas, and this is my 76th re-release of original Star Wars trilogy, now with even more CGI crap amped into it to levels of embarrassing at this point.
Yeah, and what's with this generational or every 10 years something fucking color correction trend, where the original was something more neutral, or the original was tending to have more certain color space. Like it would have like more yellows in some scenes, and people would be fine with that. And then there comes to like the master super re-release crap, and it has removed all that yellow because yellow is not in fashion anymore. We're just gonna actually make everything pink this time, or maybe could be one of those blue and cold movies. Have like a blue tint to the fucking entire movie all of a sudden. Every time it's different fucking color.
Yeah, it's kind of like especially that, like taking elements away from your film, like the color, and adding a different color because that's now all the rave in home video circles. It's kind of like Steven Spielberg, if you remember E.T., when Spielberg was like, oh my god, the federal agents are holding shotguns, I go back in time and switch those to walkie-talkies. So we're dealing with the same brain rot here. It didn't work for Spielberg. It won't work for your recolor grading the movie. God damn it.
Yeah, stop, man. I guess it's something that I'm also maybe noticing when I'm doing some sort of restorations of my old tapes. Like, the more you get into the weeds of it, the more you spend time with that material, then it's like, well, I guess I can't just leave it to be with the mistakes that it had in the beginning. Because that was analog days and different editing mechanisms, and now I can do everything better. And then you're like, okay, I'm just gonna fix these little things, and suddenly you're doing a complete new project. But yeah.
It can be, I can't completely relate because, like, as sometimes mentioned, I'm one of those people who just obsessively walk away from his projects after they are finished and actually can't go back to look or listen to them. To me, that is my problem. Everybody always tells me that I should actually look my past works and re-evaluate them, see what worked, see what didn't work, but I just can't do it. Can't bring myself to actually look at anything that I myself has sometime been done.
Yeah, not only that, but maybe to be, how do you say, sinut with your past. Just accept that, oh yeah, that was the thing back then, and oh yeah, I learned something from that, and look at that, it's kind of funny. And there are some people who find that kind of cute, and like maybe
I can't bring myself to face my past works. So in that sense, I do have some sympathy for people who either deal with this problem or who then have the need for to try to kind of correct something that they have once made and kind of smooth over the past mistakes. I can kind of sympathize and understand that, but it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
You started off as a person who just wants to like just take away the two most egregious errors that you have once made, the most stupid stupid mistakes that you made. You just want to make those away. You start as that person, and then all of a sudden you find yourself to have become George Lucas.
Just Henrik, get off the dust from your old works and go to Topaz AI and put some AI 4K effects on it. It will be all fixed.
Yeah.
All fixed. But speaking of works, what worked in the most complete, elongated, and complex and long way that you can explain that to our audience?
What worked in the end to me was most of the film. It's not a home run in any front, and there is a lot to criticize. But at the end of the day, I was okay with the jump scary nature of this film, and I was okay with the characters, I was okay with the acting. I do think that it was, well, like already mentioned, it was, I did really like how aggressive this one felt. That is perhaps the linchpin that to me keeps the whole package that is Alien Romulus kinda intact. It keeps it together. If I'm not entirely certain of this, but if the aggressiveness, if it wouldn't be here, it might be that for me Alien Romulus would just completely fall apart.
Yeah.
Perhaps. I'm not certain, but that's kind of like a gut suspicion that I have at this moment when we are recording this episode. Tomorrow my take may be constantly entirely different, but at this moment that's kind of how I feel in my gut.
What worked was the kind of primordial construction of the film. Going back to the basics. That's a welcome addition after the whatever Prometheus and Covenant had going on. We never got to the tail end of it. Well, we kind of did. It's now done. We're here. We're not trying anything new. There are good things. Like what really worked. Yeah, I think there was some good proper horror scenes. Keeping it simple from scene to scene, going from one space to another, I like that. Not particularly hurrying or doing this kind of a MTV chip-chop cutting. We have good cinematography. We have a pretty interesting challenge with the ship, plot-wise, that we're trying to finish our mission before this whole ship crashes into the rings. Although interestingly, well, we don't know what kind of planet this is, but blah 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 blah. If you look at the Saturn rings and how what the hell was that telescope spacecraft thingy that went through the rings of Saturn, it came out of it completely unharmed. So there's so much space in that ring potentially that I'm not sure if it's gonna get crushed right away. But hey, movies, alrighty. Back to the point. Yeah, just the simplicity. Which, it could have been even more simple. Like, cut out all the Ian Holm crap. Don't try to tie anything or whatever you're trying to do with the whole Prometheus references. Didn't need that. Insofar as where is this gonna go from here, that's a very interesting question, because I don't see this going anywhere from here. Of course you can try, and I'm sure they will try to build some kind of a new alien universe out of this, and then just sequels keep happening as they do. But yeah, the simplicity. What didn't work?
For me, what didn't work, I kind of got tired of the callbacks.
Yeah. Oh boy.
They didn't sour the movie for me. It wasn't like I hated the movie or I had a miserable time because of them. But like towards the end, when we have the "get your hands off her, you bitch" line, at that moment I was already like rolling my eyes and crawling on my seat. I was like, stop it already! I get it.
I remember rolling my eyes as well. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like my one biggest. A lot of this stuff I can look past. I can look past the alien goo being brought back once again. I can look past some of the callbacks I can look past the whole here are the standard issue Marine Corps rifles and then nothing gets done with it. I can look past the fact that actually half of this movie is basically based on simply on the fact that the android Andy gets the script uploaded into his brain. Like after that upgrade, the whole plot point, the whole plot of the movie is like, oh, I know that to escape this station, we have to get into the docking station B. To get into the docking station B, we have to travel across this hallway and we have to go through the Romulus lab. In order to get to the Romulus lab, we have to reach the elevator that will get us to the Romulus lab. It's kind of like a video game. It's kind of like old Resident Evil games. In order to get the vaccine, you have to first solve the piano puzzle. To get the piano puzzle, you have to first travel into this. You have to, after the vaccine, you have to go into the secret underground lab. It's like, and that's how like all of that is like you're just looking at it. You're just like, what's the script in that program update that Andy got? Is that how you are now operating? Did somebody upload the script into you? But I can look past even that. But the 15 million callbacks were there were like in 15 million callbacks there was 5 too many for me.
Yeah, like you, the goddamn callbacks. What also didn't work was maybe the choice of the space station. Once again, the derelict location already discussed. Ian Holm didn't exactly work.
Yeah, Ian Holm. Yeah. Now that you mentioned, Ian Holm fucking hated that thing.
Yeah. Like, obviously, it's like a different android from the original. So I'm not like here all bent because I'm thinking that it's the original, because it's not. Like some people think. I don't know why. But yeah, that's not the problem. It's just useless.
It kind of like reinforces the question then. Why actually bring Ian Holm back from the dead to play completely another android? Why didn't you just cast another actor like you have done up until this point?
Yeah, pretty much. The characters didn't entirely work for me. Already mentioned. More fleshing, please. I didn't need the whole fan servicey type of approach. We could have just taken a whole new storyline or some kind of different approach. I'm saying that it could have stayed in the Alien and Aliens pacing and style, but it didn't need to introduce the callbacks, Wayland Yutani environment. It could have tried something, fuck knows what, but this is so much fan service that I'm kind of still having a sore stomach from ingesting all this fan service. Describe the film in one word.
For me, it's effective. Good or bad, better or for worse, it's an effective film. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to like it, but it kind of has good enough pace, good enough rhythm. It kind of manages to do all it tries to do. It's effective. It's kind of like I don't know, driving a Volvo. Like it's not necessarily like driving a Maserati or a Ferrari, but it gets you from place A to place B. It's effective.
Yeah, I'm just gonna use a very simple word here. I'm gonna go with, like, if any movie ever needed this word, this one does. The word is okay. It's okay. We can talk more about that still. But it's just okay. Complete the sentence, Henrik. You really know you're watching Alien Romulus when?
When your Ridley Scott tribute, and like the first half of this film is, when it comes to the cinematographic language of the film, it really strongly, in my opinion, is a tribute to Ridley Scott. But when you Ridley Scott tribute, halfway goes off the cliff, but still manages to land somewhere decent.
Okay, you really know you're watching Alien Romulus when?
A pretty good answer. Next question. Do you recommend this film?
Like, the thing is,
you can't actually come up with anything. Your mind draws a blank. You don't know if you actually have even seen Alien Romulus. You know that you have because you have the ticket stamp. You have the film ticket. But you're kind of like, what film was it?
yeah, it's kind of the tagline. In space, no one can hear you. So that's my answer. Silence.
That was meta. That was surprisingly meta for this podcast.
Did you like the film?
I liked it okay.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. I didn't hate the movie. But like, is this like the new Matrix, or is it like the first two Alien films? Well, no.
You're just gonna find noises here, like.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about that soon more. But yeah, okay. I guess
I'm getting into voice acting starting from this podcast. I'm specializing in weird film audio effect noises. Somebody reaches into a pack of chips and I voice act the pack of chips.
Speaking of a bag of chips, would you and your friends perhaps go into a small room together when it's dark and silent?
If there are ladies, yeah.
And would the first thing that be on your mind would the first thing that is in your mind at that moment to watch Alien Romulus or do something else with the lady?
Depends on the situation. If I would be drunk, if all, especially the ladies, would be drunk enough, but not too drunk, because if they would be too drunk, they wouldn't be able to give consent. So I would be, to everybody listen to this episode, I would be extremely careful of crossing that line. But like, depends on the night, depends on the mood, depends on the past alcohol consumed, because that would have to be plenty, knowing my ugly as rat's ass looking face. But well, okay. In that case, no. But if the previous night would have been like that, the ladies have been to be like, do you know, I really hate Alien Resurrection. Why didn't they just look at the first two perfect Alien movies? They were so perfect. Well, in that case, it might just be that I'm like, hey, have you ladies actually checked out Alien Romulus? It might be just exactly what you are wanting.
Yeah, like even if you would not get consent to that thing, then you would have content to provide in the form of Alien Romulus, you pervert.
I can't be certain that I would actually ever manage to get a consent to show somebody Alien Romulus. That might be a tough ticket to sell.
Yeah. Well, there are some movies in this podcast that have that might be a little bit harder to recommend in social interactions, but than Alien Romulus. But yeah, I have just noises to provide here. But would you ever rewatch Alien Romulus?
Most likely, yeah. It's not my it's not my least favorite. It's not my favorite, but it's not also nowhere near my least favorite Alien film. I would rather watch this than Covenant. Christ.
No, yes. Anytime.
It would be, and most likely I would rather watch this than, I would rewatch Prometheus, but perhaps rewatching Romulus would be easier going than to rewatch Prometheus. It's perhaps somewhere in for me, I don't know, when compared to Alien 3, would it be in the same ballpark, or would I rather watch Alien 3? I can't completely answer to that question. But it does, I would rather watch this one than Prometheus or Covenant. And, so it's in the rewatchable films plate for me.
Lately maybe the older I get, the more I struggle with the dilemma of how should I spend my time so that I'm kind of maximizing like the purposeness of my time.
As a Finn, the answer is get drunk and contemplate on suicide.
I think those are...
That's what I do.
Two separate ways of spending your time. But I'm happy when I'm drunk.
I'm too. I'm also happy when I'm contemplating on suicide.
Okay, yeah.
It's me special time. Some people watch porn. Please contemplate on suicide. Or like, tonight when I finally cut my wrist and fucking end myself.
While laughing.
While laughing. You know, happy thoughts. I learned that from Steven Spielberg's the film The Hook, which was that fucking Peter Pan as an adult movie. That movie taught me you just need one happy thought in order to fly. Robin Williams thought that to me in Hook. And here I am, like, perhaps tonight I'm just gonna fucking end it. And maybe it's just that one thought that will help me to fly.
I thought when you mentioned Steven Spielberg, you would be making reference to the duel. No, Steven Spielberg makes you fly there as well.
Yeah, that's true. Almost made that stunt driver to fly also. Spielberg was legit worried that the stunt driver on that truck actually wouldn't have managed to make the dash out of the truck before the truck went over the cliff.
Yeah, that would have been one heck of a entry into the film world by Steven Spielberg.
There was like I've heard rumors that there was like a 30-second window of time when all that Steven Spielberg managed to see in his mind's eye was the oncoming lawsuits.
Would I rewatch Alien Romulus? More noises. Yes. If I'm really bored.
Which brings us to the question: would you recommend Alien Romulus as a punishment to everybody else?
More noises. Like, yeah. Like, it's just barely, yeah. I mean, there's nothing really inspiring here. There's nothing new. In a way, it's good. In a way, it's bad. It's my deep intellectual criticism here.
Yeah, for me, it is a stronger yep than perhaps what it was with you. But I see where you are coming from, because I'm halfway there with you also. Is Alien Romulus somehow some type of a revolutionary masterpiece piece of filmmaking? Well, absolutely no. Does Alien Romulus have a fair share of problems? Absolutely yes. We have talked about them quite a lot already. I kind of re-establish all the previous talking points. They most definitely are kind of problems for Alien Romulus, but they don't ruin the film for me. Even like the Resurrected Ian Holm does not completely ruin the film for me, and does not make the film unrecommendable to me. It kind of, like you said, that the biggest problem with Alien Romulus is that it walks such of a safe walk throughout its running time. Like, there are things that are new, something that we haven't seen in Alien films before. I did like about those. I did like towards the end when there is like the face huggers attack and Rain shoots them in like mid-flight, and then there's the zero grav hits in, and there's like the face huggers burst into these vortexes of acid blood, and in the zero G they have to traverse through the acid blood. That was nice. I liked the elevator scene when rain falls down and that one xenomorph catches her in mid drop with its tail and just slowly lifts her to its like point of view and just kind of stares at her menacingly. I liked that, but for those moments where I thought that the movie was doing something new and I was enjoying it, then the movie somehow also, like right in the next moment, it did something old, and I didn't quite like that. That elevator shaft, falling rain, tail grab moment is followed by Andy dropping down from the elevator shaft and that whole get your hands off her, you bitch moment, which once again just, earned a groan from me. I was going, fucking callbacks. It was shot really well, in my opinion. I did like the cinematography. There were a lot of, in my opinion, really cool shots in this one. I liked the X-ray chest burster thing. I did like when they are in the facehugger room and Andy does that software reboot thing and he's just standing there, arms stretched, almost like in a praying fashion, like, Lord, show yourself to me, and his eyes have bent over and are all white. That was hell of a strong cinematography. The one when they are running towards the elevator in the hallway, there's that moment when the one xenomorph stands up, stretches its legs, and the face huggers are running past it. That was a hell of a strong, like a lot of good cinematography in here. I really enjoyed that. I did enjoy the aggressive tone that this film had, but at the same time, like, even though there's a lot that I enjoyed, but like you have brought up, it doesn't really do anything that new. Would it be more exciting to stay on the mining colony and like see the carnage happen there? It would have been more exciting if half the film wouldn't be just like Andy just being the wise sage who tells the group where to go because somebody uploaded the script into its head, and it has a lot of jump scares. For me, they were the problem, but then again, they also none of them. I jumped only on one scare, so it's bunch of jump scares that don't work. A lot of times I noticed that the soundtrack did the thing, which telegraphs you that was meant to be a jump scare, and there's a jump cut to a corpse or something like that. I was just like unfazed by all of it. So by no means is it a perfect film, but I do think that it's enjoyable enough. Like it's a solid one-time watch.
Yeah.
And of course, like if you are an Alien fan, it's the best sequel that this franchise ever has because it looks so up to those perfect two films. And now, at this point, like after being the lone heretic who championed for Alien Resurrection, now if somebody tries to come to my side and be like, oh yeah, Alien Romulus, it should have invented more. It looked too much into the past. I'm not actually allowing you to come to my side. Like I dug the trenches with Alien Resurrection. Where I was like, this franchise needs to go somewhere new. And everybody else told me that no, look at every sequel has to look at the first two perfect movies that this franchise has. So at this point, I have to say to anyone listening, it's a little too late. I dug this foxholes myself. Go dig your own trenches somewhere else. These spots are taken, and my trenches already have indoor heating. So, fuck off, all of you. This franchise needs to find new blood into it. Position has already been taken by me, and me alone.
Well, one interesting tidbit, when I was in the audience, I could barely hear the fucking dialogue. I don't know what it is, but it was so echoey and unclear that I had a serious hard of hearing time there. Like, what the hell
Okay,
is...
I didn't have that problem in my showing.
Yeah, well, Finnish subtitles as well, I guess.
Yeah, also Finnish subtitles.
Yeah, we didn't have subtitles at all here in the Philippines. Everybody is, of course, extremely fluent in English, which is the official second language, but basically, like, yeah, a little lackluster skills here still.
I also didn't have like 50 persons in the same auditorium eating nachos and
Yeah, that's good.
yeah. I was actually quite grateful for the folks that were in my screening.
Yeah, that's a worry I had as well, but I kept eyeballing the people a bit with the fear in the first few minutes, like how is this gonna go? But there were a bunch of old fucks and some young fucks, and everybody was peaceful in the environment. Surprisingly, not so many in the audience. Like, I think it was half empty. So I think people are more into the Marvel shit here, as we have discussed in past episodes. Like, what is this Alien? Like, we never watched Alien because we didn't have Alien. Even in the TV, you know, everything is always 10 years at least old when you see it, I hear. But I digress. Couldn't hear anything. Watched it for the second time. Couldn't hear anything. But I'm a little bit more clear on the plot now, at least. Would I recommend it? You know, it's one of those films that I guess you can watch on Hulu if you're not really into doing anything. Just having a sick leave from work and what's there to do? Okay, let's put on this random movie from Hulu. A movie that could have been released on Hulu or whatever platform it was first meant to be, like the carrier of this vehicle. But then it was like, hey, I guess we should have a theatrical release, which in the end seemed to be a good financial decision, since this is already far surpassing at least Alien Covenant in the ticket booth. And can't imagine why.
I do think that I do think that the film did benefit from the theatrical release. But
yeah.
I do think that it was good enough that after having paid the extortionate Finnish ticket prices to actually see this in order to be able to do this episode, I wasn't pissed off by that decision. Of course, in Finland, that a movie ticket costs so much that I wasn't gonna check this out second time in movie theater, but for a one-time movie theater watch, I was actually quite happy with my decision. I thought that I felt that I had a good time and worthy enough time for the money that I had to pay in order to see this one. So in that case, sense, I do feel that it's a movie that did benefit from the theater surroundings and from the movie theater experience. Is it absolutely mandatory to check this out in movie theaters? In my opinion, no. And on that front, there's no worries. I've heard that this is going to drop like Disney Plus in December, if I remember correctly. So it's pretty soon. Hey, it's there, and then you can just check it out from Disney Plus.
Yeah. Like, if this is like a monetary question, if you don't want to skip the Mama Chicken noodles the next day, then okay, don't go watch Alien Romulus, or just wait for when it's in the Disney Plus or whatever streaming service. Because this in a way, like, perhaps feels a bit like streaming servicey movie, in a way that it doesn't really build any kind of its own universe, just relies on the old stuff. You gotta see that sometimes in the movies. Like, you first make a super blockbuster, mega epic film for the theaters, and then you have some kind of a, well, TV series or some kind of additional, like, extra adventure on your streaming service. And that's kind of, I can't, like, avoid that sort of a feeling sometimes with Alien Romulus. Because, like, it is not ambitious in a sense of building the lore of Alien universe. It's ambitious in a new way, like a new cinema, NU cinema way, where the more you have those callbacks, the more you are inventive, I suppose. The more you go back, the more you are a good director. But yeah, sure, I mean, watch it. Why not? Yeah, sure. Yeah, at least you won't get your feelings hurt, I think. Not badly. Go watch it. Sure. This brings us to the question of how to put this film in order of preference. I've already discussed this with you, like how we did our lists of the franchise previously. Well, mine is the same. As far as I remember, Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection was it? And then Prometheus and Covenant. That was my list. Now where would I drop Alien Romulus? Here. Well, we have Alien, we have Aliens, and we definitely have Alien 3. Then I guess I could park my Alien Romulus here. Like it's not even, you know, very clear where I could, like, I fucking hate so many things in Alien Resurrection. So I just have to leave it where it is. So Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Romulus, Alien Resurrection, Prometheus, Covenant. That's my list. But,
yeah, in my opinion, if I remember my list correctly, it was Alien, Aliens, Resurrection 3, Prometheus, Covenant. And from my end, well, it's Romulus is nowhere near Alien or Aliens. It's way better than, or I can't say better, because Prometheus, at least it tried to go into a completely, it tried to be its weird philosophical space Jesus movie, and I applaud that. I really enjoyed those aspects in Prometheus. I just couldn't get past the fact that the whole thing at the end failed to answer any of its questions. So yeah, I would put Romulus in front of both Prometheus and Covenant. I would perhaps put this behind Resurrection, because Resurrection, at least it was like something completely, or it tonally was went into a different direction completely than anything else in this franchise with its satirical tone, and I really applaud that. Then it comes to question like is Romulus before or after Alien 3, and that's actually a tough competition for me, because I, like already stated, I don't hate Alien Romulus in any level, and in many ways I did enjoy the movie enough to recommend it, and feeling that, you know, it was well worth the Finnish ticket prices, which is a high price on its own already. I guess, I don't know, perhaps it would be really close behind Alien 3. In both cases, that the main drawing point for me is the cinematography and the world that these films present. And David Fincher's cinematic style, like Alien 3, as we already covered in Alien in that episode, like the production was a fucking mess. But David Fincher's style was so strong that it managed to turn a messy production into a rather good film that, in my opinion, deserves it kind of the new arc, the resurrection arc that Alien 3 has.
Yeah, I think Alien 3 was a good closing arc to the first trilogy. It really ends the story pretty properly.
Yeah. So I don't know, I have kind of similar type of feelings towards Alien Romulus, where I really like the cinematography, and I really like the new things, the new stunts that this film does, but at the same time it's kind of hold back to me by all the callbacks and the similarities. I guess I would like to put this to after Alien 3, so it would be like Alien, Aliens, Resurrection, Alien 3, Romulus. But it, in my opinion, it's not too far in the shadow of Alien 3. Like it's a tough competition between Romulus and Alien 3.
Well, yeah, Alien 3, I will definitely count this as very much its own unit with its kind of own world building, and that I really appreciate. And it has a mission. Anyway, it has a mission to finish the chapter of Ellen Ripley. Does that, and no other sequels ever existed.
And now that you mentioned the world building is stronger in Alien 3. Like you get a better sense of the community and the prison planet that they have than what you get at anything in Romulus.
Yeah. Still don't get all the Alien 3 hate that is still out there on
Yeah, me neither.
the YouTube lands at least. Yeah. Well, there it is. The Alien discussions of this podcast. I think we can close the book for a while unless there was something still that you wanted to add about world building.
Well, not in this film's case. We would have to go into Alien versus Predator for that discussion. It's two more films. I guess then from there we also have to move to Predator movies. It's at least what 4 films at this point. How many of those bloody things there was? 5? The first 2, then there's Predators, then there's that one
new thing.
There's one bullshit one.
Prey is the newer one.
That's a Predator, and then there is Prey.
Oh yeah, Predator, Prey, something like that.
Yeah.
And Alien vs Predator 1 too. Oh joy.
Yeah. Two Alien versus Predators.
You want to go that route?
Absolutely fucking not.
But
I don't know. This podcast has a nasty tendency to be a completionist. It's like it's not the first time I'm like let's not go there, and then we are going there simply because of the completionist's sake.
I do recall, however, we strangely had this plan to make a film review of this certain film called Possession from 1981.
Oh my god, we have been kind of promising that to Mint Volcano for some time now.
And strangely, when we took on this mission, this podcast went into like a long hiatus, and you were so busy, and we just couldn't find the time, and then we forgot about the whole thing. Should we now go back to this?
I guess we finally would have to actually talk about Possession.
Yeah.
Because I haven't forgotten Possession, but Alien franchise, so goddamn many movies. 7 movies at this point. So it kind of took, especially with the hiatus, which I think that was well deserved and absolutely needed for us as podcast hosts. So like I always remember that we had promised to do Possession. I was just happily pushing it further and further into the horizon.
Help my broken brain. What's the Steven Spielberg sci-fi alien movie from early 80s?
The Close Encounters of Third Kind.
Yeah, that's also an episode that we did a research for, and we never did the episode because Kari was like, hey, yeah, let's do something else instead. What? And I think you lost those notes already like thousands of years ago.
I lost those notes already. We would have to do like completely new research for that episode.
Yeah. Hell, I don't mind. We'd get those 2 movies out of our system next.
I'm like, we do, now we only do one or the other, and then in some distant future, perhaps the second one. Basically because both are kind of research heavy, and I'm not too much looking into like doing all the research.
Goddamn Steven Spielberg, yeah, it's hard to discuss Steven Spielberg movies without going into the weeds.
Well, it depends on like the film. Bridge of Spies is pretty easy to talk. Like, was Tom Hanks good? Well, he was Tom Hanks. Well, okay, but Tom Hanks is Tom Hanks. But yeah. With 13 Encounters, also 13 Encounters is extremely slow-moving movie.
It is, yeah. And a strange movie for a sci-fi alien movie.
In a way, yeah. In a way, no. It's strange in the way how sci-fi is now. Like if you watch mainstream, if you like from 2024's perspective, if you think about what is sci-fi movie, it's a strange movie because it's mostly just nothing happening and some assholes talking about some theory about something, and then there is some type of a revelation at the end, and they are like, okay, well, that was the payoff. But it's not really that strange as a sci-fi movie when compared to 70s and 80s
No,
sci-fi movies, or what the movies were at that time. Like if you take Encounters and contrast that against like the first Star Trek movie and something like Solaris, it's kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, it's Close Encounters is very Spielbergy in a way that like it doesn't go into the horror or terror or thriller that you could do with Aliens, and that's not the idea. That it's just kind of awe and mystery and miracle. There's sense of wonder that's there.
In a way, yeah, and in a way, no. It has the sense of wonder at times, and then in a lot of other times, it's just a bunch of people like being in a living room and being like, "Oh, the radio is acting up. What does that mean?"
It means it's time to do a nuclear family with aliens. Not exactly. Could have happened. Spielberg movie.
Maybe in the sequel.
Oh, right. Thank you for joining us. I thought this is gonna be like 45 minutes max, but here we go again. Can't help each other.
Yeah, I told you, Alien Romulus is a movie where there's a lot to talk about.
Oh. Dear listener, what would you like to talk about? Come and tell us on our Facebook page, and please be very nice and cordial. You can also do that on Twitter, which I guess you won't do cordially because it's now X and Elon Musk and all kinds of predatory behavior and all kinds of conspiracy theories all over the platform. So tell us all your conspiracy theories of Alien Romulus, actually. There's a lot of theories on the interwebs already, like, what does that mean? What did this mean? And this time, dear listener, I actually skipped all those videos. I don't care. But I obviously care so much about your theories, so come and tell us. I guess that wraps it up. So, Henrik, Possession, 1981. Sounds about right.
I guess that has to do.
See you when we see you. Bye-bye for now.
Until then.
Give me some more, Fede.